Hello detectives, in this video I am going to analyze Light and L's brain and understand their way of thinking. So let's get started. Disclaimer, this video is an analytical breakdown of Light and L's way of thinking, not a countdown of how to think like L and Light. You can find several videos on the topic on YouTube, but this is not a how to think like L video, so don't get confused. First of all, let's analyze Light's brain with some examples. Whenever Light makes a plan, he always analyzes that what are the events that will take place due to his actions, and he thinks of the events in different ways and analyze that how can he take advantage of it. You can take the example of episode 4 when he was trying to get the name of 𝗕𝗿𝗵𝗵. If we think deeply, we will understand that Light thought of multiple ways by which he can get the name of Ray, and they were:
Number 1, Ray telling his name, which was almost impossible. Number 2, Ray showing him his identity, which was possible for Light if he made a situation where Ray will have no choice but to show Light his ID. So the first step was to put Ray in a situation where he will have no choice but to show his ID. Now, if I was in the place of Light and I had the thinking skills of Light, then I would try to figure out that why will someone show me his ID? Why does people show their ID? And in what kind of situation will Ray show me his ID? And in the answer we can get many possibilities, like people show their identity to introduce themselves or to tell about their profession, but in both the cases, Light knew that his stalker is neither going to introduce himself nor he will tell him that what is his profession. That's why we reject these possibilities. Now Light will have to think of a different situation in which people show their ID and make a situation in which the stalker will have no choice but to show me his ID. If you recall the Light's case, then you will remember that Light used the death note and made a plan that bank robber will board the bus and hijack it, and Light will tell his partner that he will try to snatch his gun, and since Light knew that a school student is a suspect of 𝗕𝗿𝗴𝗵𝗁 case, then the stalker will not let a suspect go in such a dangerous situation. That's why he will stop him doing show, and in order to make him believe that he is not a partner of the hijacker, he will show his identity. If we break down this master plan, then the chart will form like this.
Plan: get the stalker's name. There are two possibilities in which one can get the name of the stalker. Stalker telling his name or showing his identity. Next, make him show his identity. But before, figure out that why will someone show his ID and in which situation will the stalker show his ID. To introduce himself, not really a good idea in this situation. Telling about his profession, a slight chance. Now figure out that why would someone show his identity to tell about his profession. To give a proof that he works for a specific organization or a company, but why will someone tell that he works in a specific organization? To flex, but not in this case, to make someone trust him. But in what situation will he try to make people trust him? In a danger situation where he is the only person who can control that situation. After this much analysis, the only work that is left to do is to create a danger situation. At this point, if we give a look at Light's thinking,
we will understand that Light is a mastermind at analyzing the events that might take place and asks a million questions to himself to get the perfect plan and the perfect execution. So before I start to tell you the Light's way of thinking or planning whatever you say, allow me to give a recap of Light's brain and the points that he always remember while making plans. Number 1, Light always analyze the future events that might happen, and he analyze them with multiple possibilities and figure out whether which events is more likely to happen. Number 2, he knows how to use people. He used 𝗕𝗿𝗴𝗵𝗁 and 𝗕𝗿𝗵𝗵𝗁 to kill L. Now before you start saying that what about that bank robber, then let me tell you that he used death note in that case, but in case of 𝗕𝗿𝗴𝗵𝗁 and 𝗕𝗿𝗵𝗵, he actually manipulated them. He used Mrs. Love and Reem's feelings for Misa to use them. Manipulation is a complex term, that's why I will explain it in any other video. For now, let's get to the last point. Number 3, Light is always aware about the steps he might take and decides his next move accordingly. Now after all this data and analysis, we have managed to figure out Light's way of thinking and what are the things he do and keeps in mind to make a perfect master plan. And those are, he first sets a motive, then he thinks of possible ways to achieve it, and whenever there is a situation where he will have to manipulate someone, he thinks of multiple situations in which he can force the other person to work according to Light's will, and before implementing any plan, he always creates different events in his mind which are likely to happen, and he always think with the point of view of his enemy as well. Man, Death Note's author is definitely a part-time detective. Now a lot of you will it difficult to understand this analytics and will definitely be thinking that this is too complex, and if you are one of them, then let me tell you that Light's way of thinking is not very difficult to understand. You just need to watch this again and again to understand more clearly. So for now, let's get to the next character, 𝗕𝗿𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 smarter. He killed 𝗟𝗏, manipulated 𝗕𝗏, he made the officers trust him, killed 𝗿, then let 𝗕 tell you that 𝗏 is smarter than light, and why is that so? I will give you the answer in the end. So before that, let's start the analysis. In this analysis we will be taking the example of 𝗏 figuring out that light is 𝗕𝗏. If we analyze 𝗏's way of thinking, then we will have to see that what are the points 𝗏 had in his mind. Those were, number 1, all the people who died were criminals. Number 2, they all died of heart attacks. Number 3, they died after the school timing. Number 4, the identity of the criminals was broadcasted by the media. Number 5, majority of them were from Japan. In these 5 points you will see that 𝗏 analyzed every little information related to the deaths, from timing to similar things, literally everything, and with only these 5 points 𝗏 figured out the following things. Number 1, the one behind this has some superpowers because so much heart attacks, that 2 of criminals are no coincidence. Number 2, the killer is a student as all the deaths happened after the school time. Number 3, the killer wants to give justice to the world, that's why he is killing only criminals. Number Number 4. The killer is from Japan as majority of the deaths were from Japan. To prove the points that the killer has some superpowers and lives in Japan has some superpowers, he set up a trap for the killer to figure out whether the killer has some superpowers or not. If we look at some more examples, we will see that when Light hacked his father's computer and found out that the officers and L suspects a student, he changes his pattern of killing, and that was the time when he got another clue and came one step closer to solving the case. When Kira changed his killing pattern, 𝗕𝗿𝗏𝗵𝗁 understood that Kira has access to the police department and that there is definitely a kid of any of the officers behind all this, and he sent Ray to investigate further, and after Ray's death, 𝗕 quickly understood that his suspicion is right. In this case, 𝗕's brain worked like 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏. In case you don't know what is 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏, then let me tell you that it is a game in which a guy named 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏 asks you a few questions and tries to guess which character are you thinking about. Take this as an example. Currently I am thinking of a character and he will ask me some questions and he will try to guess the character on the basis of it. Check it. He asked me questions like, is my character an Indian? Is he a male? Is he associated with Death Note? Has he appeared in Naruto? And on the basis of following questions, he guessed that I was thinking about Light Yagami. If you want to know that how 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏 works, then let me tell you the question you answer in 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏 play an important role in helping 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏 guess the character. He asks several questions and when we answers it stores it and figure it out. Let me explain it more clearly. He asked me, is my character related with Marvel? The answer was no. He asked me, is my character an Indian? The answer was no. He asked me, is my character a male? The answer was yes. He asked me, is my character real? The answer was no. He asked me, is my character related with anime? The answer was yes. He asked me, has my character appeared in Naruto? The answer was no. He asked me, is my character related with Doraemon? The answer was no. He asked me, does my character go to school? The answer was yes, and other questions, and then he had the answers arranged. He starts to guess it in this way. A fictional character who not related with Marvel, Naruto and Doraemon, goes to school, has a younger sister, is related with Death Note, has killed people with Death Note, and the guy who fulfills all the conditions above are only one guy, Light Yagami, and that's exactly how 𝗕's brain work. He sorts all the information and then try to guess just like the 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, that a killer school student who has some special powers, lives in Japan and has access to police data, wants to give justice to the world. Another way by which 𝗕 thinks is, I will call crime play. Whenever a crime happens, 𝗕 first sets the crime scene in his mind and tries to think that how the crime would have happened, and he also asks himself a million questions on the basis of available information like the timing of crime. What were the things that happened? If someone did this, why will he do it? What will he get from doing this? What are things required for doing this? Who is likely to have those things and who is capable of doing this? And just like Light, 𝗕 don't just think from his point of view but also from the point of view of his enemy as well. Take the example of the episode when Light confessed that he thinks that he is Kira. 𝗕 started to think that why would Light do this, and after few moments of lightning fast thinking he figured out that Light is doing this to prove himself innocent, that even after Light was isolated, criminals were still dying. In this case also 𝗕 thought with Light's point of view to understand Light's game plan. He used this even when he told Light that he is 𝗕, and at that moment he predicted every possible reaction Light could give, and this was the trick that 𝗕 used against Light. He told Light that he believes that he is Kira and understood that if he dies in the next few days, that will prove the fact that Light is Kira, because when both the Kiras decided to stop giving messages, he understood that both the Kiras are in contact and now they will try to kill 𝗕. Man, his point of view thinking is really genius. Okay, now I have analyzed the brain of both the smart characters of Death Note, so before ending the video let me tell you that why is 𝗕 smarter than Light? 𝗕 smarter than Light because Light had a Death Note, are madly in love with her with Shinigami eyes and an invisible Shinigami, but still it took Light 25 episodes to kill him, whereas 𝗕 figured that Light is Kira way before. Okay. After so much of lecture, I'm ending this video here and will meet you